on the branding aspect of it, because we got Renee with Signarama and Steve with Be Local. So we're gonna be kicking.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here, I'm Renee with Signarama Chandler. As we go through the slides and stuff, we've been in Chandler for 25 years now. We do everything from building signs, sidewalk signs, banners, trade shows. We do vehicle wraps. We do all of that stuff. But we're going to be focused more on the branding side of your business today. So through print and through signage.
So yeah, and again, just to go off a little bit more on that. So I've been a publisher / had a small advertising agency for 30 years. The two publications I represent now, Stroll Ahwatukee Foothills Living, has been in publication going on 15 years, and Be Local Ahwatukee is our newer product that's been going on for about a year, going on 2 years, I should say. They are both traditional print, perfect bound, high glossy, but we also do digital, and there's also social media attached to both of those communities, Instagram and Facebook. So we're kind of an all-encompassing marketing company / small ad agency. So what I hope to do is bring in with Renee here some things that I've experienced from expectation levels to some new ads that I've put together that kind of we work together as far as the branding aspect of it too. So I guess you want me, okay, so I'll just jump right into what I'm calling false expectations. When people engage in marketing campaigns, for whatever reason, they decide what type of results that they feel they should get, unsubstantiated, what's good, what's bad, what works, what doesn't. And you just really, you just hear everything over the, really all over the map. What I would say is that, in my experience, is that when people decide to brand or market or advertise their product, really what they should do is look in the area where they want to grow their business and just understand it's just as simple as this, is that you want the people in this general area. And again, I know a lot of people say, well, my business comes from area all over. Really, it doesn't. No matter if people drill down, it comes from a high percentage comes from a circle, and then people come from everywhere else. But it's about just understanding that putting your name out in the right places where the right people are going to be seen is really what advertising and marketing is. It's not I spent $1, I get $1 back. Hopefully you get more back than that, but that's not the game that's played. So I know a lot of people want to say, they talk about ROI, whether it's, I'm spending this and that they want to return. What I believe that, again, like what they have to expect is that you're putting your name in an area where people are going to see it. And in return, they're going to get the message, and then hopefully you're going to grow your business. But that's it. And there's this kind of, what I say, false expectations about, well, I'm spending this amount a month, so I should get this amount back, regardless of what you're doing. It's unrealistic. It's just, people just deciding to put that type of, I say, limitations on themselves, because a lot of times it stops them from growing and pursuing successful avenues. And I call it tripping over $1 to pick up a nickel. And so, I don't know, we could ask questions about that after, but I just want to say that starting off about, like, what do you expect to get from this? If you put a good ad in, if you put a sign up, is the money just going to pile in? Probably not. Maybe if you're one in a billion people that you hit some sort of name or some sort of product that everybody in the world wants. But if not, you're just going to be out there competing like everybody else. Which segues into more realistic approach to your branding and marketing. It's called zip code marketing. We say these words: communities, chambers. We identify ourselves as areas. Really, what we are to the government and everybody else is we're zip codes. Okay, so the businesses that can really track their customers by their zip codes, to me, are the ones that can really gauge their level of success on marketing and branding programs, because they can see where the people are coming in from. So if you're investing, Prashant Therapy invests a lot of money in 85048, which let's call it the Desert Foothills. They're putting their marketing money. Well, again, they put a new sign up. They put an ad in the paper. They join the chamber. They do all these things. Well, at the end of the day, you want to know where people are coming on from, but really what you really want to know is your business growing. So if you can look in your computer, or you look at your books at the end of the year and see like, did I grow my business? Great, I did 30%. And where do the people come from? And you literally see their addresses and zip codes. You can really mine and you could see where you're spending your money and if people are coming, if you're growing your business in those areas. If you're not, then that's an issue too. So there's a way to gauge that. So I call it zip code marketing.
Just to chime in with that, at Signarama, we actually ask you, if you call in, if you stop by our office, how did you hear about us? Did you see our sign? Did you see an ad? Did you Google us? Did you see Renee at the plethora of places that she's at in one day? How did you hear about us? You're just a member of the chamber. You went to their chamber directory, and that's how you found us. It's really, really important. And then we have, so when we put in an order, we actually have a category of how did they hear about us? Where did the business come from? And we have a list to pull from. So I have Ahwatukee Chamber in there. I have Ahwatukee Power Partners specifically. I have it even broken down as to exactly where my clients are coming from.
So to drill down on the psychology and what Renee's talking about, I'll give you the answer where most people answer, where they come from, where the last time they saw their name. The good people who are marketing are putting their name, if they're in the chamber, they've got a billboard on the sign, they're doing ads, they got a nice sign. If they're seeing you, they've already recognized your business. They may be calling you for Google, your point. But to Renee's point, which is very important. A lot of times, because it's the timing. You don't always, you don't always need physical therapy. You don't always, need a mortgage, at the time. But when the timing is right, then you remember. And a lot of times, that's why you got to keep your mind, because this ties into what we're doing. Why you have to keep your name out there, because it's the last time the person saw it. So you all of a sudden you need a mortgage. Oh gosh, a life-changing event happens, and you're dry and you're thinking, boom. That's who I'm calling. Who am I calling? Jill. That's exactly, because I've seen her, I've recognized her in the community, I've seen her at the chamber events, blah, blah, blah. So that's, again, that's what Renee pointed out is the culmination of everything that you can do to that actual customer walking in and deciding to be in your business and product. So that is important.
And it helps limit where those false expectations come from
Right.
as to where your business is coming from.
Right. You're gonna know.
It was his ad that pulled in X amount this month versus the other thing that you maybe tried.
And my point also will be, it's great if it's my ad, if it's great if it's the chamber, if it's great if it's your sign, is business coming in. Gauging your business growth, because business growth is not something that should be taken for granted. If your business is growing, you should feel good about yourself. And that's whole for a different topic conversation. I think, again, back to that false expectations. People actually do a lot better in their business than I think they do. But okay, now we're going to talk about putting an ad together. Everybody look at that ad real quick. What does that guy do? Real quick. What does he do?
Sells us.
Boom. That's what I wanted. Okay, so when I put this ad together, what's that?
Nothing else. Instead of boom, it should have been click.
Okay. Sorry. I'm not that quick. Thank you. I need a sidekick here. So I designed this ad with him, and listening to. I'm going to tell you how the conversation went. So this gentleman is fairly new to the community. A couple of years. We know him. Some people know him. He's part of the chamber, but really he's really trying to really build up his identities and really starting to turn the corner. His business is growing. And so he really wants his logo. He wants that logo to be like the A on the mask, to be like the McDonald's. A lot of people want that on their logo. So when we're sitting down, truthfully, that's really what he really wanted to display. And I had to, step back and it's a conversation and say like, hey, listen, what you want is somebody to look at your ad and in a split second know what you do. If we take those guns away,
sorry.
We take the guns away, and we have that big click, click, bang with him in a classroom. I get what people are saying. People are proud of their logos. They want to display their logos. But Renee's going to get more into the signage because that is really what I do, but in the bright lights, big city. And so you can get lost in the same aspect. So we sat down and he bought in. He understood that we can combine the both. So we can put his logos by the guns. So that's still the association. But at the same time, you guys knew in 1 second what this gentleman did. So I've accomplished my goal. And that's it. Is he going to get people to go and buy guns? I don't know. Are you guys going to go? I don't know. But if you see his ad and you know what he does, he's a local guy, he's got a shot. That's what good marketing advertising is and branding. Awareness. That's all you could do. Okay? And so at this point, I want to turn it over to Renee because, again, she's going to show you what I do kind of in bright lights.
Let's see. Where'd my PowerPoint go? Okay, so branding and visibility. Brand awareness describes the familiar audiences. So brand awareness is where they're seeing you and like what he just talked about. But brand visibility is how often you're connecting with them. How often are they seeing that? How often, like he just went over a lot of this. So this is a big part of that. Greater visibility gives better awareness. It's basically that turnaround, okay? So the more things you have out there, like he was saying, signage, print, flags, banners, your windows, all of that comes into play with this. What does your signage say about your business? It attracts your attention. Signage is 24/7. When you close up and lock those doors at night, that sign's still up there saying, hey, this is what we do. So signs and using every piece of real estate you can is very, very important to your branding. It reinforces your brand. It keeps it recognizable. And all that comes with everything that goes in to your initial deciding what you're going to do with your brand, which means the style of your logo, the colors of your logo. Is it easy to read? Does it say what you do? If it doesn't, then you've got to have that extra tagline with it. There's a lot that when you start a business, that branding, that's your send-off. That can actually help or break you in some instances. Let's see, there's my mouse. Okay, so signage is obviously a crucial part of your marketing. It allows you to effectively communicate your brand identity. It gets the message across. Does it increase your brand awareness and visibility and promote new products? So maybe you're wearing hats with your logo, your t-shirts, pens, all those tchotchkes that you're going to give and help with the golf tournament with, all that fun stuff. So that's a really important, that's signage too. It's your brand on all of these items. Another big thing that goes with your brand is your story. Stories, you need to get used to having your story. Why did you open this business? Why was it special to you? Why did you pick this brand or this logo? Maybe there's a special, hey, my daughter actually drew this out for me and this is what it was, So that story that goes with your brand is very important. Signarama Chandler is 25 years old. It started with a couple that they opened a Signarama, and Brian literally went out, hit the Chandler streets, and went literally door to door to door to door to build his business. And then here years later, now his son and his wife now own it, and they have now taken it over, and it's gone 25 years, and this Signarama is one of the top 5 worldwide. But it started with that story of his parents. So, and it stayed in the family, and it resonates with people. It's important to people. They're part of the community. So simple little things like that, developing your brand pitch. So, I can throw in 25 years. Ta-da! So, all these little things, you always are growing. You can always be changing things around, but it's around that center thing, which is your logo and your branding. Let's see. Again, with your logo, your logos are very, very important as far as The symbol, again, with the font, with the colors, and everything that you do with your logo. I can't stress that enough. I just can't. And I have visuals which actually help with this, this concept. You're picking shapes, you're picking colors, you're picking everything that goes with it. Your color palette's very important too. Reds, yellows. Does that ring a bell with anybody?
It does. That was your presentation, maybe not last time, but the time before.
Which is?
Power colors.
Power colors? McDonald's.
Right.
Right off the bat. Red and yellow, McDonald's. That's what's important. Is it visible? Is it seen? Some blues, depending on where you sit, are very hard to read at night or very hard to read during the day. If it's a really dark blue, it blends in. You can't see it. If it's a lighter blue, you see it better at night, not during the day. So you always want to be careful with your colors. The YMCA, I just did the YMCA in Chandler. Just did a brand new, we're doing all their new signs. The YMCAs now have a whole new color palette. So this is this easiest way to get this across. So they can use this color palette when they're doing all their signs. So they can use these darks, this medium, and these lights. They have all those different shades to work with for depending on what they're using it for, whether it's flyers, etc. They also, in their signage, if you can see this logo here, they're combining this with this palette. This one is combining this with this for a palette. So each Y has got a palette, and they have to go with at least the adjacent color schemes for their branding. But now they have choices, which is really nice. So developing a color palette so that you have a variety of ways. You know, if you have a lighter color and the only thing available is white shirts, it's not going to show up. You need to have a variety of a color palette that goes with your brand. Fonts. Fonts are fun. So I love it when people get creative. It makes you different. However, you also have to think about things that those are going to go on. So trying to make a sign with this really, really, really fun little curly QY or something like that, that's not going to be really easy to make. Or these little really thin strokes that you think accent that logo. Not fun. It doesn't show up on shirts that well because it's this one little seam going across kind of thing underneath your logo. That sign is going to be really difficult. It's going to have to be big enough so that we can make it thick enough. So you've got to really think about some of those things. And I have, this one is a nice little combination of a lot of everything. Kitchen and bath. When you've got 3 to 5 seconds for people to notice your sign. They're driving through a parking lot, they're driving by on the street, 3 to 5 seconds. That's what you have with that sign, okay? Kitchen and bath. Oh, we're just getting ready to renovate. That's awesome. We've got a kitchen and bath store right across the street. Awesome, okay? If they had put Mitchell, Weeks and Mitchell Construction with their logo, you'd probably think they're a construction company. Have no idea they do kitchen and bath as a specialty. Right? So when you're doing a sign, and this is the hardest thing I get with some people that love their logos, I want my logo up there. No. Why not? Because people aren't going to know what you do. Unless you are a known brand that you're just being a franchise of, okay, then that works. You know, you're a new Bed Bath & Beyond coming up or something, okay? That's the way to do your logo. You do it on the side so that you're still branding yourself. But when you want customers, you got to make them see you. And you got to make them see you for what you have and what you can do for them. Whether it's taxes, whether it's insurance, whether it's water, insurance, anything, okay? That's what you need to see. That's going to, if you have one that says Sophia's Bread and Breakfast Hair Salon in this little box underneath. Does anybody know what Sophia does? Not unless you're stopping and you can read that little box underneath of it. It says hair design.
Well,
right?
unless you can make it for 3 years with Sophia's, then 3 years, then people around town
Then
will
you,
know who
yeah.
Sophia
If
is.
you're bringing a clientele,
You got
great.
a few years.
But
Yeah.
when you're driving by Fry's and then you see a Sophia's and there's this little box and you're like, I wonder what Sophia's is coming in, you know, what is it? So that's really important. Then they put this little thing below it and this little fun cursive-y thing here. You think you're going to read Design Center as you're driving by and there's cars coming by you the other way in the parking lot? Never going to actually read. It's going to take you 3 or 4 times before you figure it out. Or go park your car and go, oh, Design Center. That's what that says. So that is what you want to avoid. It just doesn't do any good. It totally is. They did a good job using their real estate on their windows, though. Anybody that got windows and that you're allowed to put graphics on it, do it. Because you got all those sidewalks. Here's another example. So this is what it looks like with cigars, and that's their logo off to the side. You'll never be able to read that. They did a good thing there. So I tried to blow it up. Casa de Montecristo
Cigars.
Churchillis or something like that. That's their actual logo. They did the right thing by putting it in the box because you know they got cigars. Even by their name, you have no idea what they do. Okay? Very important. Even though it's a cool looking kind of, graphic and stuff, it does nothing for them though. Pool Supply did it great. You can see you got a pool supply store. Even though it's in their logo, this is what's going to draw attention, not that so much as fast as you're driving by. So they were able to do both. They've got Pool Supply twice, but they did it the right way. But you can kind of see that blue kind of faint at night. Brand and voice. Using your voice. Your voice is your signage. Do a vehicle wrap, get flags, do a banner for special times, special events. A-frames on the sidewalks. They put dentistry, so you know you got a dentist in the area, even though they're Chandler Family Dental Care. They didn't try to put all that up there. They just said, dentistry, come see us. And that's what you're going to do. But then they use this real estate to tell you the little other things that they do. So it's still there. And then these guys just totally outdid themselves. Love that. Okay? Look at us. This is all the stuff we do. They used every part of real estate they had on their front to tell you to come in and see us. Which one catches your eyes? Come talk to us. Really important. So vehicle wraps, your back window is the best part of your most vehicles. Not those ones that have that slanted back window that goes practically flat straight up. Not good. But anything else, that back window is your biggest because everybody can see you from the back. When they're walking down the parking lot to go into a store, they're walking by your back window. Best part of your car. And probably the least expensive way to do it. So.
And I'm going to circle back with everything that Renee said. I want to bring up some live examples back to that because it is ever so important because you take notes on this. You get the right sign, you do this. You put the right ads in. You join the chamber. You sponsor the concerts in the park. You do this, you do that, okay? Then it's back to circling back, okay, what's working for me? So let me tell you the importance of this zip code marketing. So this is about now going on 12 years ago. He was one of the largest garage door companies here in the Valley. He did not office here. He officed on the west side. I had met him. He was a referral. I just started Foothills Living, and I wanted a garage door company to promote. So I met him, we got along, and he invested in our program, and he was in our program for a couple of years. Well, fast forward a couple of years later, where he was at, I love what you do. I love your presentation. I don't know how well the marketing's going for me. So I put myself out there. This is where I put my, kind of money where my mouth is and my studies, really to present something with some really live, solid examples. And I said, well, let's pull up the zip codes. His office is over on the west side. He's only marketing in 850-4844 little 4.4 and a little 4.5 with me. He's doing no other marketing. So he was able to pull up results from 2010 when he didn't market with us. And then he pulled 2011, 12, and 13. Okay, so he marketed 3 years with us. And so we did a very simple exercise. How many clients did you have in 85048 in 2010? You weren't marketing. He had 20. How much did he have in 2011? He was marketing. He had 45. How much did he have in 2012? He had 80. How much did he have in 2013? He had 120 new clients. Now, can I raise my hand and be proud and say that's all me? No, and that's just back to your marketing thing. But I can confidently say, and he confidently said, Steve, I apologize. This is where I like to be wrong. I'm actually my money is not only putting in a smart place, I'm actually making a ton of money from your project. He goes, this is the only market I'm doing in that zip code. It's very simple. I didn't have, it's a simple exercise. So you can gather your database, you can find out where your people are coming from. And then you market, you put your sign, you do all the things, you join the community, you do all the things you're supposed to do, and you let it work for you. You do the best you can. None of the stuff is magic. All these things we have, trust me, I know all of us in the back of our minds, we're always looking for the magic bullet. If I just do this one ad, if I just put this sign, no, it just doesn't happen. It's a project. And the people we brought up, McDonald's, we bring up all these companies. These are companies that spend gobs of money on this stuff. Gobs, we know that. And they're doing radio, they're doing TV, they're in the chambers, they're doing print ads, they're doing the newspapers. They have every medium going, and then they just rake it in. But they don't waste their money. That's where a lot of people understand that. They know, again, all these things that we're talking about, they know it. They spend all this money and it comes down to their bottom line, which is good, right? How much are you up this year? 30%. Congratulations. That's not easy to do. Your business is up 30% a year. So that's really, I want to say it like that. I want to leave with that kind of like that zip code marketing, because when you're doing all the things right, you've got to be able to gauge your success and where your people are coming from. So that's really what I've got to add.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So going back to the click thing ad, I noticed on there that it said by Dutch Brothers, which obviously is giving Dutch Brothers some recognition. Do you coordinate when you're doing ads? Do you recommend sharing the cost if they're doing that? Or
Absolutely.
do you have to get permission?
No. It's just a commonality thing. And whether you're doing print or a lot of people overlook that stuff. We are not in the same legalese as you guys are, or the financial world. In our world of marketing, print, Don, as long as there's good intent. If somebody had malintent and stuff like that, you can get in trouble. If you're trying to do something in the positive, they could call you and say, hey, listen, I don't want my name on there. Of course, which you would do, but there's no malfeasance or any sort of no liability or loss. You're not doing a loss. And I actually encourage you to do that, because a lot of times it's a win-win. You're giving them a little bit play, but who cares? That's where people know, drag them in. Yeah. I do. I use that all the time. So that's a good point, though. That's a good point.
Good catch.
Yeah. Some people, when you're starting a business, you've got a good concept, you got a great idea, but maybe you're not a branding specialist. You don't know how to get your image made or that. So who do you recommend contacting to help you with creating a brand?
So first of all, that's a great question, and that almost led me to spin off part of my business like 3 years ago that my company wouldn't let me do, and start a consulting business, which I actually kind of can do just alone myself. But that's a great question, because there's really, unless you have money to hire an ad agency, and there's many of them around here. It does cost. A lot of people try to do that themselves. There are some local people, BNIs, that develop logos that incorporate what Renee's saying and help develop that. I know a couple, but there's really not a go-to to that. I wish, a lot of people, SBA, when people get SBA loans, I know that they kind of guide them on that stuff. But it's
kind of who you know.
Yeah.
I've made relationships with a couple people that basically just will try to create your logo for you. They're designers. Mm-hmm. I do have a person that can create a whole brand book for you, which goes through all of those palettes and all the little quirky things, all the variations of your logo, a vertical one, a horizontal one, all that fun stuff. So it just depends on kind of, again, like the cost of what you're able to do. And then, yeah, we will recommend it because we do not create logos and that kind of thing at Signarama. So I do look for those people so that I can find fits for a variety of different requests.
Yeah, the world is a little fuzzy with that. Again, like I know one gentleman, he's got a small design guy. He's in the Chandler Chamber. I don't know if he's in this chamber, but he does work around the East Valley. He's dynamic. He does do a lot of logos, but you got to just, like Renee said, I just happen to know him from a BNI. It's just, there's no, anyways, it would be nice if there was some, there was a local, marketing company type of thing that can take people in like that, but, I don't know.
So what would be really cool is if, just to follow up on that, just real quick, if you guys have anybody that if maybe we could share that in the information after the
Sure.
presentation, maybe on our YouTube video, so if people are coming to it, they can say, here are some potential branding specialists you can contact that you guys.
Well, they're all through both of us. We now probably between the both of us know everybody in that department. No, so if you need a logo, yes, you can contact me. Also contact Renee. I have a full design team. If you do have that logo, so I do help conceptualize and design the ads. So there are, and Renee does the same thing with the sign. So we actually do some of that stuff in house ourselves, but.
When printing design, whether it's digitally on magazines or for a storefront, do you guys need things in high res or a vector file, or does it matter?
Vector is music to my ears.
Yeah. We're in high quality print, so we need 300 DPI, which is the highest quality usually.
Cool.
But
Making sure.
I mean, there's in
the
the
same regard, not all ad agencies are building out in a vector type format. Some will create a logo for you that's more or less just like a picture, a PDF.
Right.
It can't be
manipulated or
manipulated to the quality
resized.
That's a very basic designer.
Right.
I don't recommend those when I'm trying to get somebody a new logo, because they need those variations. They need the JPEGs, the PDFs, because the JPEGs and stuff are something of, like some print, that's all you need is for that, for doing flyers and such. But when it comes to anything else, your stitch on your hats, your shirts and all that other stuff, yeah, you need those vector files.
Yeah, and anything, I mean, and on the contrary, anything digitally on Facebook and all that, you could put a very small file of the same image,
PNGs
and it's fine.
and all that stuff, yeah. Yeah.
So for me, 90-95% of my business comes from like online stuff, and my strategy has been like trying like different ways and seeing what works and kind of like focusing on that.
Stop me right there. What does online stuff mean? That's a big world. What do you mean online stuff?
Ads,
So your ad,
Google My Business.
You're doing most social media stuff, mostly, of sorts.
you're doing digital advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. So, and basically I've seen what works, and I kind of try to focus on that. But outside of that,
What do you mean by what works? Could you tell?
Craigslist ads have worked, Google My Business has
How long
worked.
have you done those?
Like Google My Business, like 2 years.
Okay.
Craigslist, like
So you have
10 years.
you've grown your business using those avenues.
Yeah, but I wanted to do stuff outside of that, and I never really realized like which way should I go about it. Should I put up a sign?
First thing, identify where do you want to grow your business? Where? Tell me. Where do you want to grow?
In Chandler, or
You can't guess. You got to say.
Okay.
Where?
He doesn't have a storefront.
Oh, you don't have a storefront.
No.
Well, that's tough. If you don't have a storefront, that's tough. You're doing the right way to do it, because when you have a storefront, then you're going to want to identify. You're going to want to spin about a 5 to 10 mile circle around that storefront, and that's who you're going to want to fish. You are too. Without a storefront, you kind of, the world's your oyster. You have to develop, to me, in yourself, where do you want to grow your business? Because you're going to start getting people. You're all over the place, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how it is.
Well, so do you like that, or do you want to focus on growing your business in an area?
Did you like driving from Scottsdale down to
I mean, so that's what you got to decide.
And also marketing, like what you're doing. You're here today in front of these people. That's what I do for Signarama.
Yeah.
I was put literally into the marketing position. So I'm at economics and education and just I'm everywhere in every type, women in leaderships. I go to all sorts across the board. I sub for BNIs. So people hear my voice, they see me. Even when I'm subbing, I might sub once this month for one BNI, and then somebody next month has a vacation and they might see me again. I'm getting my face in front of them, even randomly. It starts again, just like your sign. People driving by, every time they go to the grocery store, they're kind of seeing you, kind of thing, kind of concept. It's a matter of getting out there in all the different ways is going to help you.
This gentleman, what's your name, sir?
My name is Chris.
Chris. So Chris, but you brought up, I mean, that's the great question. That's the question that I was trying to tie in, is that I wasn't it's not that simple to answer. That's why I was throwing that, but really that is the question that you need that answer, because if not, you're going to be scattered. So whether you find a niche, you develop a program, whether you want an area, like for example, let's bring up Jill in her mortgage company. So Jill wants to be known in the community. So Jill joins the chamber. Jill does dogs at the park, everything in Ahwatukee. She advertises in our magazine. She's part of the community. She comes to our events. She comes here or there, but she's already identified she doesn't want to grow in. I mean, not that she won't take business or a loan in Chandler or that, but really she identified focuses 80% she realizes is going to be out of this community. And that's where she's focusing her effort. So that's why I was saying, Chris, really before you decide which way you go, you have to decide where your fishing hole is. Where do you want to pull fish from?
Or like basically local advertising.
If you want to.
Yeah.
If that's
I
you.
would like to.
Well, then which if you want to go to Chandler and you want to come Ahwatukee, then Ahwatukee, there's a variety of things that you can do. You can talk to Andy at the chamber, and there's a lot of people that can help you market, me being included one of them. And if you get a storefront, Renee being one of them.
That's the balance of being
there's
a
balance.
business owner, is trying to figure out what is optimal, who you work best with.
Right.
Some people do, Daryl's dumbfounded, but like a CPA getting ads on Craigslist and everything and actually getting business, I wouldn't have thought of that either, right? But it's been working for him for the last several years. So everybody has their own avenue.
Exactly.
I didn't have brick and mortar up until this year.
And
now people can walk into my office.
And what's impressive is Chris, you could see here too, he didn't, that's why I asked him that question. He's not giving us just a book of work. Oh yeah, I did it for 2 months and it works, which a lot of people do. He said he had a book of business for years going on. So he knows it works again. And that's why that was, again, a leading question. Your marketing takes time. People want to do stuff and they want to gauge it in, 3-6 months. No way. It takes people 8 months driving by that sign, looking at their ad for that even connect. And that's what it is. Google. I know it sounds dumbfounded, but it's true.
And it depends on that time. Like I said, they took me out of sales and put me strictly into marketing itself. So people always ask, how are you everywhere? Because they made they gave me that availability. So I can be everywhere. Before, I was doing surveys. I was helping back up the phones. I was backing up the door and trying to market a little bit here and there. So it just depends on your schedule too. And then you find that specific thing that works best for you during that off time that you have. How are you going to spend that extra couple hours a day or whatever time you find during the week that you're going to use?
But ultimately, a guy like Chris who's a CPA, his value when he builds up his business is not being here. I mean, because they're very high per hour. That's once you build your business, right? You're looking for avenues so you can sit down with people and have meetings, correct?
Yeah, but I also like the networking aspect too of it, kind of being the face of what you're representing also. So I'm kind of trying to split between billable hours and going out and.
So do you do BNI groups?
Yeah, he networks here and
Okay,
a
good.
multitude of places. I'm trying to get it more involved.
Okay, yeah. Well,
So.
talk to Mr. Network over there. He'll dial you in.
Right.
Any other questions, Daryl?
A little confused at the dichotomy of when you put up the color wheel for the YMCA. Because the first thing we talked about at the very beginning of the thing was what's yellow and red. And boom, they instantly knew it was McDonald's. So why are you not having a color for the YMCA as opposed to this whole wheel, which again...
That's the YMCA's
They
brand.
decided that.
They made that. They
used to be
rebranded.
actually yellow and
So
red.
this is a rebrand for the YMCA's across the country. So everybody can, but what it did was it said, now you have a variety of colors depending on what works for you inside your facility or what have you. But you can use the palette and you get a variety of colors rather than just being blue or just being
But again, Daryl,
purple.
good point, because you're bringing up that is contrary to a
Right.
lot of which that is a newer way to do it, but people do it now.
Yeah.
So then there is no color branding with that.
Yeah, there is. It's those colors.
Each Y will have their own specific.
Yeah.
They choose what
So
brand
they're
they're.
doing consistent branding for that specific one.
Yes.
So it's
So
not-
every Y
But it's got to
has.
be in that palette though too. They can't
Yeah.
pick their own colors. That's the
Right.
those are the Y colors.
They've
Valley of the Sun's all the same.
Yeah.
Like, Greater Phoenix or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so that would all be done.
Right.
So if they chose something where it's with those oranges and reds and then whatever's next to it, maybe the yellows or something, then they can choose. Okay, the yellows and the oranges and reds are going to be best for our sign outside on the building, but we're gonna combine the yellows and these two corners for like our office signage and some other signage around the facility, all their ADA signage for bathrooms and that kind of thing. So they at least have flexibility, so it's not just this flat color all the time, just this one color purple or this one color blue, and they can, and around the country, whatever's kind of working for them too.
Yeah, some large organizations, Daryl, too, like I'm looking at the corner of the Diamondbacks, they're one of our clients too. We advertise with them and they will give us their book of business, and then for their example, like they'll show us the all black and you can only put the all black,
Right.
and they show you the combos that can only go. Again, like that's it seems a little bit more confusing. There's really
Yeah,
only a
they
few
have-
color combos
And
that
that's
are
not
out of
very
that.
common.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
so
not a
that's-
common thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you that using certain colors and having a specific color, because we will ask that for your signs. Do you have a specific blue? You want sky blue? You want navy blue? You want this? So that narrows it down. It tells you exactly the color code for a paint, for a sign, for ink, for shirts, so it gives you the exact color codes that they can stay consistent with those colors, not any blue. It's got to be these color blues. You got these three choices in the blue category, or yeah, pretty much.
It is kind. It's a marketing HOA. It
Rick,
is.
you had a question?
The thing with the Y too is that their logo is that Y,
Yes,
and everybody knows the Y.
that's their brand.
So the different colors signify, like Y Opus is for the older crowd at Y, and that's that blue and light blue.
They're progressive in it though, and they're ahead of it compared to some people like change these colors.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody identifies with the Y.
But there's a lot of brand books that when we get a brand book from somebody that they've created, that's what's in there
Right.
is their colors and their variety of colors. And like he was just saying, you can only do either the reverse of this, or you can do it solid this way or that way. And they only give you those specifics, usually in a brand book that's been created for that logo. It's a brand. Rick?
Probably related to the things that have been just said, that you've mentioned several times, brand book. And I think part of what answers Daryl's question is the difference between a large national brand that's well known, that has that liberty to choose whatever colors they want, versus one of us trying to just get known right here in our own community, right? And then you better stick with what's really, really visible. But help me understand, what is a brand book and what is the role of that brand book? And should I be doing that for my local business?
So
using the concepts.
that's going to kind of go to where you get your logo made. So like I said, I know Caitlin can do a whole brand book, okay? She can start you with, first we figure out what your logo wants to look like. Then you kind of tell her what kind of colors you're kind of looking for to do. You know, I kind of like the oranges and the yellows. Oh, I like the blues and the purples, whatever your concept is for your logo. Then she chooses those colors that have color codes to them, and that's going to be in that brand book. So, and by brand book, it could be an internet, an actual file that way. So we can go different slides, and it'll go to that page in that brand book she creates and says, okay, here's the color codes for the blue that they wanted. Here's the color codes for the yellow they wanted. So it will all tell, whether it's shirts, it's hats, whether it's signs, whatever it might be, it tells us what colors that we can pull from the color charts that we have in printing, in inks and paints and all that other stuff, depending on what we're using.
So are those pretty universal then?
But so
With the
talking about
codes, yes, the codes are.
the actual books where they got the name again, like, so what Renee's saying is they've all turned digital now, digital books. But where the concept got was you would go to a company like McDonald's and you start working advertising. They would have like a little short page. It would be a book, full color, would outline their PMS colors, outline. She's saying it again. What's
and
that?
and the font.
All
and
the
tells
fonts you could
exactly
use.
what
It was like a
is.
little, yeah, it was a book. It was a book. And now again, like the day and age, now you get to do it and they just email it to you. And again, so it will be shocking. Some, again, like some smaller, medium businesses who have kids that have a kid that graduated in the business, a graphics that works for the company, all of a sudden you work for them and they have a day one, they'll have a kind of a sophisticated branding book. But traditionally, what you said, Rick, is that people will want a local small business, want to get their brand, get their logo, their colors, and run with it. And maybe every 10 years, maybe freshen it up a bit.
And what we have at the office too is we printed all those PMS colors on and I've brought it in sometimes for when I actually present that way. We actually have a coroplast line that we just put through the printer, has all the PMS colors on it, on these little square boxes. And you can see the shades, like go darker, kind of thing on all these colors. And it's got the PMS codes below it. So those that don't necessarily have a specific brand color, that it's yellow. Okay, well, there's a lot of yellows. Or more the sunshine yellow or more the orangey yellow. So I can bring that, or they can come in and they're going to look at that and they're like, this is the color I want right here. So they can then choose, and then from there on, we use that code for anything they kind of use throughout so that we stay consistent with any signage that we do for them, whether it's flags or banners or anything. But that way that it's consistent, even though they don't have a brand book, they can still choose something along those lines with our color codes. You can even go online and look for PMS colors for yellow. And it'll show you those shades
spectrum,
all the way across. And now another misconcept, we send you a proof, okay? And you open it on your monitor and you look at that proof and you go, that yellow looks really orangey, okay? Well, that's looking at it on a monitor is not the same as looking at it when it's ink. It's a totally different concept. It's good to call it out and say, I want to make sure that when I print this, it's actually the one I picked, because on my screen, it looks a little more orangey than it does the bright sunshine. So every monitor is different. You cannot, the contrast and everything on everybody's monitor is different. So when you look at that proof, like I said, if it looks really off, say something, but confirm that they're going to choose the same code that you chose, what you looked at the ink, what it looks like on that product. Then you're good. You're okay. Now you're just looking at making sure it's spelled right and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, people get that misconception of like, that's not what I had. That's not what I picked. It's like, well, it's on your monitor. It's just different on a computer.
Any other questions? Questions, comments?
Good job.
Mark?
Thank you.
Just a comment. I'm kind of unique as a community service organization. I don't have a storefront. I don't have a corporate vehicle. And I have events that I'm promoting, not day-to-day business. But Signarama has been very gracious to help a nonprofit, so doesn't have a marketing budget. But I've got things that I can put on my car and take off because it's a personal car as opposed to wrapping it. I've got products that I can take to events to promote the next event that I'm going. So if I've got Wreaths Across America, which is one of our big things in Chandler, I can take a big banner behind me to an event early, 2 or 3 months out, and have that advertise what's coming 2 or 3 months down the road, so they're portable. So I don't know if any of that would help the more firmly located businesses, but those options are available as well. Kind of portable marketing, if you will.
It's called guerrilla marketing. I used to call it old school, being very, that's amazing. I mean, that's very creative and, some of the best dollar to donut, what they would say, what you could spend doing stuff like that. when you don't have a storefront.
And what Mark's referring to, just to clarify, Signarama has a nonprofit category, if you will, called Signs of Hope. So every roughly October, November, the applications come out, and any nonprofit can apply if they want to have any signage done for that coming year. So if you're looking to do a wrap for your business, if you're looking to refresh your sign on your building, if you're whatever it is, American Diabetes, we do all the signs for their walk every year.
Is that
They
for
take-
free or the discount?
They take that into consideration. You have to tell them what you are gearing for that year. So depending on the scope of the project, sometimes if you're just needing a couple banners, you're probably going to get a couple banners, and it'll be free. It'll be part of the nonprofit. If you're looking at, a big old new sign's going to have to be done, we can probably, they'll contribute a portion of that towards that, so that'll help your budget and make it more reasonable for the nonprofit to be able to afford it. But they do the applications usually late in the fall, like November-ish. Usually by January, first week of January, they've narrowed everything down as far as, this one's going to get $100, this one's going to get $500, this one's going to get this or this or this, depending on the scopes of all those projects. So we help as many nonprofits as we can with the budget that they have set aside for that coming year for the nonprofit. Yeah, it's really cool. Love that.
Thank you.